Right, I've got him purring. He was eyeing the camera up, so I spent a minute chilling him out, and he's not stood up yet, which is not like him. I think it's when I start talking, he's like, hang on, no, don't talk to them. Right, I almost want to say, I fucking told you so. Where do I start? I had another day, a lot like my other days. Like being the party bike, and there was loads and loads of happy people everywhere, and loads. I'm continuously amazed at how I'm not a pain in the ass to people. Seriously, when I've been riding my bike down the other side to get to the pier and go the other way, the posh end, people are like, "You're not allowed to ride on here." You literally get people like moving and standing in front of you with their arms, get off your bike. People are says no cycling. So that's what I'm used to. I think that's why I'm like quite baffled by it. But yeah, it was just, I think there's just that whole party vibe, isn't there, along the beach, and it works when I'm just passing along and I'm there for a minute or so. Do you know what I mean? Every time I'm locking my bike up and I'm dancing, I'm getting people on the beach just looking at me, just smiling. That's it. But it's just like, it's everywhere I look. It's lovely. But then so I ended up chatting to some people. There's what it was. This car just went past me at like the top of town, and there was lights next to me at the light sort of thing. And then as they pulled away, this bloke just hung out the passenger window and just went, "Oh mate, you want to sell your speaker?" And I was like, "No," and he went, "Ah," as they drove down the hill. I thought that was that. About half hour, 40 minutes later, I was tying my bike up in Boscombe, and I was going to go for a piss. And there's there's actually been 5 people who've been negative, and I've just been really gloated and thinking, you are part of a dying world, my friend. There's fucking hundreds of people cheering me on for doing this shit, and you're there looking at this one bloke looked at me and went, "Fucking idiot." I thought, you're fun. I like you. Yeah. I want to sit here in total fucking silence on my fucking own, moan at you all. Literally, he was on his own outside a fucking beach hut with his arms folded in a deck chair with a white vest on and a cap and like glasses and look on his face. And there was 2 of these old cunts on a bench, and like he literally had a mouth like that. His mouth was like properly down. And he just glared at me the whole time, like, and I notched it down a couple of pegs. And he turned to look to his mate, and he said something along the lines of, and his mate replied with something, and they got up and walked off, right? And he shot a look at me, and I was just dancing the whole time. I just laughed. I said, like that. And I thought, fuck off. And I looked round, and there was this lot on the beach, and they were all just fucking laughing. I was like, "Do you see that?" And I'm like, "No." I went, "I just made 2 grumpy old men be 2 grumpy old men." And so, like, one of them goes, "Come down here," and they were like, "We shouted at you as we were driving." And I was like, "How was that you?" Boom. So we got talking, and oh my fucking god. Talk about basically getting all of your fears served up to you. Not fears, like I was saying yesterday. I almost want to call this "I told you so." I really do. I had it all. There was so many. So it was like one that was nice, one that was really fucking nice. So they were like a foursome. So both the girls were hot, but I wasn't looking at either of them like that because I knew they were in relationships. There's quite a few girls I chatted to. None of them had switched me on to that mode of thinking towards them. I was just being me. I wasn't, you know what I mean? But the one had asked about schizo. She said, "What's schizotypal then?" And I explained it a bit. And I didn't need to explain it much. And I said, it's just that uncertainty. There is no meaning. It could be anything. It could be a little underhand thing, or it could be nothing, or it could be me being paranoid, because that's a separate thing. So, you know, it's a separate fucking consideration when you're getting a feeling when you're schizoid. And like I've said before, I wish I'd thanked her, actually, but I just reacted because we were talking. And she just sort of went, that must be exhausting. That's literally the way she said it. And she said it really kindly. She said, that must be exhausting. I just went, yeah, it is. I might have then said thank you, but I should have said, do you know what? Thank you, like, for looking at it that way. Because she didn't go, I know what you mean. I get that. We all get that. Don't worry about it. Keep calm and carry on. Woo. Which has just been like a photocopy of so many of my conversations. But I did get, why are you letting them put a label on you? There was a much younger girl. She was like early 20s. She was quite, how can I put this? Brainy, very brainy. You could tell she was very brainy. She was bright and really friendly and really chirpy. Do you know what I mean? She was just a really one of those nice people. And I'd said I was going to go and get a drink, and she said, I want to get a drink actually, or I might get some food. I'll walk around and see what's about. And I was like, okay. And then her mate came, blah de blah. And then I had to start talking about, like, we were walking, and it was like I'd started limping. So I was self-conscious, like, why are you limping? So I had to talk about my leg. But that was after what was it? That's it. We talked about the mental health thing because the geezer said, you're fucking mad, you are. Like that. He said, like, I love you, you're fucking mad, you are. And I went, yeah. And you know what? That's so much easier to deal with since they made it official. And they all cracked up. And it's like, that's how it should be. Keep it at that level. But then once we actually started talking about it, she, you know, I'd said, you know, I can't quite remember how we got there, but that bit obviously sparked up. And I said, yeah, all right, look, I see a psychiatrist every 3 months, and I have a woman that comes to see me for an hour once a week. I have a support worker, and I've got loads of things I just try and deal with, and it makes me difficult to be around, and da 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 da, and it makes me I was just honest about it, because that's what you should be able to be. But then with this girl, she was like, oh, why are you letting them put those labels on you? And I said, schizotypal. And I said, it's not a label. And it's really not her fault. She was being so kind. Her energy was kind. Because she's looking at it objectively. It's like that if you get diagnosed with that, suddenly you consciously view your life as, I am schizotypal and I have to do this. Because it says here. And I don't know where that interpretation came from. But it's kind of ironic that I was, you know, in a social group trying to explain to them that I have difficulties interacting in social groups. And lo and behold, I had difficulties I was really paranoid by the end of it, basically. I was really paranoid. It got to the point where they were walking down to the next toilet, and I was like, hang on, is it all the way down there? And they were like, yeah. And I said, I won't make it. And she said, that's cool, we'll get you some water. I'll get you a bottle of water. Just go back and wait there. And so I did, and it was that same thing of just like people tuning me out and awkward conversations, like one guy shouted, you know, people kept turning up and they all knew each other, and it was like I was kind of having random chats here and there, but the usual thing happens. So I'm talking to someone and they either bring someone else in on the conversation and use that to leapfrog away from me and start talking to their mate. That happens a few times. When they agree with you about something and then call someone in basically to rescue them. Or that naturally happens because the subject changes somewhere else or whatever. And I just found I'd kept sort of like moving and sitting next to someone and then found that their back was just... But I don't know if I was being paranoid, if I was just correct with something, because I think there was a few times where people were just a bit... And I analysed this a little bit, and I don't think it's as dismissive as I think it might be. I think what it is like my favourite human said to me a lot, you make me think. I'm quite exhausted because you make me think. And I've used the example with myself way back in my early videos about how it's that process of when you know, start to do something like studying, you need to open up different areas of your brain. And when I can't do that, it takes a lot of effort to do that. And it takes everyone a lot of effort to do that. But, you know, particularly with me, that's where the dysfunction is. So they're getting a similar thing as they're being forced to open up those parts of their brain that make them think and analyse and interpret and synthesise and all that kind of stuff, you know, more complex thinking. It's not always switched on. Mine has trouble switching on when I try and switch it on. In this situation, they can switch it on or off, but they're choosing not to switch it on because I'm not into that at the moment. And that's why it comes across as dismissive, because they're just like, how did we get here? And we got there by just natural answers to things. Like a guy says, what's your angle? There's a kid from up north. Apologies for my accent. What's your angle? I went 45. I really like 45. But you know, what do you do? And I just sort of said, okay. And it was like that thing where everyone looks at you. And I just said, well, I don't really do a lot. And like I said, I'd mentioned it before. I said, I don't work or do anything because I'm under the care of mental health services, in a nutshell. There we go. And it went, and I just went, so that's like the awkward bit. And then no one rescued me. I was like, yeah, that was a killer then. And oh God, it was horrible. I was so fucking paranoid by the time I got home. I was paranoid about everything. Because the other thing is, like, I'm curious. I was curious to the girl who was the compassionate one. She was being really nice. She was smiling a lot when she spoke to me, but I think she was just quite curious. She was like, "You're funny. Let me ask you some questions. You're intriguing for a while." I think I was like that to her a little bit. And the geezer as well, he would ask me things, and then that was, the makeup, the social experiment. I did say it was a slight one, and it was like when I'd met them and first sat down, and it was only 4 of them, I'd had my shades off, and I remember thinking at the time, it was like, because both the blokes were quite pissed and quite laddie, do you know what I mean? And no one had said anything, and I remember thinking, good, they just seem to have accepted it. No one's commented, because I had like very silvery eyeshadow on in the sun, and I think it had probably gone smudgy, and it was a lot of fucking eyeliner on. And, you know, I think the girls would have noticed, because girls do, but just wouldn't have said anything, quite probably, do you know what I mean? But it was later on, because I went on my bike rides, I spent like half an hour with them, and then it was the second time when I came back when things got all really, there was other people there. But, what was I about to say? I've totally forgotten. Where was I? Oh, I don't even know. It's time to end. It's pretty much time to end. Can I grab it? I don't think I can. Makeup. Yes, I can. And it was the second time, quite far into the geezer just looked at me and went, "You wearing makeup?" And I just went, but he said it a little bit, "You wear makeup?" And I went, "I wear makeup, yeah." And then it was another point where then suddenly quite a few people looked at me. And the curious girl, it's one of the times I made her laugh, and I just said, "Yeah, I wear makeup." I said, "But I'm not a drag queen. Don't call me a drag queen." And it does seem to make women laugh. So it's not drag. I went, "No." I said, "I'm a man that wears makeup." I said, "Drag queens want to look like women, correct?" But he was sound. He was a yobbo, but he was a sound yobbo. And he's just sort of, after his initial kind of, "You got fucking makeup on," and I just, fair play to you, mate. Fair fucking play. Whatever you want to do, man. Whatever you want to do. It was all like that. But again, it was like I was a little bit of a performing monkey. Something. That's how I felt. I don't know if that's all in my head. I don't know if I was totally correct or if I was just being paranoid. But it was, again, that, like I was talking about yesterday, that's not fair. It naturally happened. And then I'm sitting there and these things are happening. The girl's saying about labels. It's like, that's one of my big ones. Oh, please don't just call it a label. What are you saying? It's so infuriating when someone says that. And there's this person being so genuine and nice. It's like, this does not compute. This does not compute. It's horrible. It's horrible. Anyway, I shall shut up.